What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today I'm going to be answering the great question of how much should my property cash flow? And in order to answer this, I want to share with you an experience that I had this last week. Now, I work with hundreds of sales reps, and that job is what's given me the income to be able to invest in real estate. And a lot of these sales reps are ending up making a lot of money as well. And so they come to me and say, Chandler, I want to invest in investment property. I found this property and I think it can cash flow $100 a month. And then they look at me with this blank stare like, come on, Chandler, tell me if I should buy it or not. And with that information, I can tell you right now, you will not be able to determine if it's a good investment. So in this video, I want to show you how to determine if it is going to be a good investment. First off, you need to know this isn't going to work for a fix and flip property. All right, this is just for a buy and hold investment. And that doesn't mean you can't have renovations on this buy and hold investment, but once again, those need to be taken into consideration when considering if your cash flow is a good cash flow. Because if you purchased a property and you've spent $100,000 in renovations to be able to get $100 in cash flow per month, I can tell you right now, odds are that is a very bad investment. Now, to put it simply, I look for a 10% cash on cash return. If I'm getting a 10% cash on cash return, I know a property is cash flowing enough to where it is worth it for me to purchase. And if you don't know what a cash on cash return is, I'm going to give it to you in layman's terms in the next couple minutes so that you have a broad explanation. And then later or after this video, you can go check out that other video and download my spreadsheet that you can get completely free at www.chandlerdavidsmith.com. And on that spreadsheet, it's going to show you how to run the numbers, the expenses, management, everything you need to know to figure out where you're going to be on your cash on cash return, on your cap rate, and on everything else for a property that you're thinking about purchasing. The way that you're going to determine your cash on cash return is you're now going to take whatever the unit is bringing in rents. So we're gonna say it's bringing in $1,000 a month in rents. You're gonna take out your loan payment, you're gonna take out any of your expenses, any utilities, any of those things. You are then left with your cash flow. And with this cash flow, your cash flow needs to end up being a 10% of your initial down. So to give you an example, let's say that you buy a $100,000 property. And let's say that you're doing it on loan, because I always suggest using leverage. So on this $100,000 property, you purchase it with $25,000 down. Now, you're looking at your $25,000 as your initial investment, okay? Now, you're going to have monthly expenses, insurance, taxes, management, and a loan payment. You're also going to have rents coming in. So we're gonna say on this property, you've got $1,000 coming in rents every month, and then you've got all of these other expenses coming out. So your loan payment, any stuff you're setting aside for issues you'll have in the future, insurance, all those other things we listed are all going to be coming out, and you're left with money that's coming in. Now, this money is what's referred to as your cash flow. What a cash on cash return is it takes your cash flow as a percentage of your initial investment. If you initially invested $25,000, then your cash flow after all of that coming out would need to be $2,500 a year. All right. And if you invested $100,000, your cash flow would need to be $10,000 a year. So that's why when people come and say, look, I'm cash flowing $100 a month, is that a good deal? Well, my first question would be, did you invest $25,000 or did you invest $100,000? Because that's going to play a big role in knowing whether that's a good investment or not. Another big mistake people make is they might purchase it for $100,000 and put a $25,000 down payment on it, but then they get in this situation where they're adding in another $5,000 in renovations. So now they're at $30,000, but they're thinking that they can bring in $2,500 in cash flow. That's not going to get you to your 10%. So for me, just simply, if you come to me and say, Chandler, I'm only going to be investing $25,000 after renovations, after everything, and within 1 year, I'm going to get the rents to a place where they're bringing in over $2,500 a month in cash flow, then I would say, hey, that is an awesome deal. You should jump all over it. And if they're wondering what that is monthly, you're going to take that $2,500, you're going to divide that $2,500 by 12, and you see, all right, you should be cash flowing at least $208 every single month. And if that's the place you're in, then that's an awesome investment. Now, I know there are some people out there that are saying, holy cow, Chandler, I just bought a property that's like those same numbers, but it's only cash flowing $100 a month. And what I would say to you is that's awesome. You're still cash flowing, good for you. However, that's not a deal that I would have bought because I don't think that's a good enough return on my investment. Now, you're still getting appreciation, you're still getting principal pay down, you're still probably in a better investment than you could have been anywhere else. However, for me, that's a standard that I believe I can be extremely comfortable because I know if rents do go down or if something weird in the market happens, I'm going to have more than enough cash flow to where if it eats into that 10%, I'm still going to be able to stay in the positive. I don't want to be in a place on cash flow where I am getting close to a point where I might be paying every month to own an investment property. That seems just stupid to me. It doesn't make sense. And I know there are some people that do it because they want to get appreciation on a property, and that's awesome. All right. If you've got the guts to lose money every single month in hopes of making money down the road, then good for you because you've got bigger guts than I do. However, for me, I like to hold to that rule, and preferably I like to hold even higher. For a long time, I was holding to at least a 15% cash on cash return. Now, the other thing I want to warn people of is there are situations where you're not putting 25% down on a property. For instance, you can do a 5%, a 10%, a 3.5% if you're living in the property. And that's awesome because it's going to help you to get a better cash on cash return because you've got less money invested. Now, there are different situations that will change this number where you might want to do a little more research into whether it's a good investment. For example, if you buy a $100,000 property, but you get it for $5 and your cash on cash return is 15%, you're like, holy cow, 15% cash on cash return. Okay, that is a good return, but it's only on $5, which means you're barely cash flowing at all. I mean, heck, 100% return on $5 is going to be $5, and that leaves a lot of margin for error. You have one water heater go out and you're negative who knows how much percent on your return. Matter of fact, I would change it to 25% down, all right? And I would see if with 25% down, it also meets the 10% rule or higher, because a lot of times the lower down makes it easier to reach that rule. Now, I know this complicates things, but what I would say is anytime you're doing a lower down, you need to be more aggressive in the cash on cash return that you are getting, because that's going to protect you and put you in a situation where you know you're in a good place. One last point I want to make sure I hit on this is you've got to remember to include renovations or money that you're paying to get tenants out or whatever else you're spending to be able to get into this investment property, because that's still going in as money that you're investing. So a lot of people will say, oh, I've got this property I can buy for $100,000. It's a $25,000 down. Yeah, heck, I might spend another $25,000 in renovations, but
hey, according to my initial purchase, I'm looking great on cash flow if I don't take into consideration that $25,000.
Here's the deal. You'll still cash flow on it, and that's awesome, but your return at the end of the day is going to be crap unless you take into consideration that other $25,000 you're putting into renovations when running your numbers, because that still needs to be taken in, and all of that is going to be covered in that spreadsheet and in that other video if you guys want to see exactly how I run the numbers. So at the end of the day, is $100 good cash flow? I don't know. What I do know is if your initial investment was only $10,000 and you're cash flowing $100 a month, I would say, hey, you're in a good place. I can run those numbers and I know that that is a good cash flow. And so if you hold to those rules, you're gonna put yourself in a place where you can create an awesome passive income from investing in real estate. Now, if you guys enjoyed the video, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my other videos. I've worked hard to break down all of the other properties that I've purchased and everything I've learned from my last 7 years of investing in real estate. So please, if you enjoyed the video, push that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to helping you to create a huge passive income. Thanks guys, have a great day.